Good evening, sorry for the late video. This is our presentation of this um, Omron photoelectric retro diffused to sense plastic, or most specifically PET bottles like this one. Okay, we call them PET bottles because they are quite transparent. They are the most used plastic bottles in the world. You use them for drinks and containers and much more. So we are using the sensor to detect if the object is a PET bottle or a tin can or anything. So it can detect plastic bottle, or actually the real term is that it cannot detect plastic bottles. So it can detect anything like paper, tin cans. It's the other way around actually. So this sensor is quite tricky. So it will detect anything, but it cannot detect plastic bottle. So that's the way how to detect plastic bottle, is not to detect it. Somewhat it's there. So first is we'll be reading its data sheet. So it says it's 12 to 24 volts. So we use this adapter, 12 volts. So since this is an industrial sensor and it is having 12 volts, so I got scared and to interface it to an Arduino. Since Arduino pins can only handle 5 volts, what I did is, by the way, it has 3 wires. We have the brown wire, the black wire, and the blue wire. So the sensor has 3 wires. So the brown wire actually is the positive, or the 12 volts, or the VCC, what's so-called VCC. So what I did is I connected the positive of 12 volt supply to the brown wire. The blue wire is apparently the ground, so I connected the black of the sensor, the ground of the sensor, to the ground, and uh, placed, or what's it called, connect onto their connection a pin, or a wire connector, DuPont connector, so that I can also connect this ground to the Arduino ground by connecting this to the ground. Okay. The black wire apparently is the signal wire. So I'm quite afraid that the signal wire can contain more than 12 volts. I mean more than 5 volts, which will destroy our Arduino. So the black wire, I place a pull-up resistor into another wire. So if this is the black wire, I connected a wire, the yellow wire, which is the signal wire, but I pulled it up with a 6.8 kilo ohm resistor to a red wire, which I will connect this red wire, the pull-up wire. I will connect it to 5 volts, okay, the reference voltage, and this yellow wire, or the signal wire, I'll connect it to pin number 2. So the code on the Arduino is quite simple. Okay, it is the digital read serial code. Basically, we will just read the serial pin number 2. So by the way, this is from easyelectronyx. So we'll be uh, using the digital read serial. This is from the example of Arduino. So I use the push this same code, but I'll just place a 0 here. Okay, and I will upload it. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is always reading and then printing on the serial monitor the digital pin number 2, where I connected the signal pin of this sensor. Okay, so what I'll do now is place this sensor this way. Okay, by the way, I place a blue something, a wire here, because this is a photoelectric retro diffused. It has its emitter and receiver at the same module. So just to prevent false triggering, or that means the signal from the emitter will go towards the receiver even if there is no object in front of it, because of it will reflect this way. So I place a physical separator. So anyway, this sensor is quite tricky to use, so you need to be more careful on to place it. So engineering precision must be used. So what I'll do is just I'll plug it in. Okay, you can see it's lighting. Okay, so I'll just be placing it like this in front of this wood. So okay, okay, so as okay, so we can see it's now okay pointing to that direction. But this is what I'm saying, that it can detect anything but cannot detect pet bottles. So as you can see, it's now 0, or that is no object detected. So let's say I'll place this paper in front of it. Okay, so if you can see, if I place a paper in front of it, the reading will become 1. So we'll know that something is in front of it. Okay, so because the reading becomes 1. Now I'll place a tin can, okay, which I just drank earlier. So again, if I place a tin can, the reading is 1. I'll place another paper. This is Raspberry Pi. Again, it's 1. Okay, what more? But now let's try to place a plastic. This is alcohol, a PET bottle also. So I'll place it here. Okay. You can see for the PET bottle, it detects 0, even if the PET bottle is in front of it already. Let's place another PET bottle. Sorry. Okay, I will be placing another PET bottle here. Okay. Even if I make the bottle really close to the sensor, if it's a PET bottle, it's 0. Another PET bottle, the clearest one here. I just got it down. It's still 0. Which tells us that everything that you place in front of the sensor will become 1, except if it is a PET bottle. So that's how you detect a PET bottle. If the reading is 0, okay, that's a PET bottle. Okay, I place it. That's 0. But what if for plastics that are not clear, let's say like this powder, baby powder, place it in front of the sensor and I see it is 1. How about colored PET bottle? But even if it's colored, it's quite you can see through it. Okay. The same, it's not a clear PET bottle, so that means it is 1. So how do you use this sensor? It can detect anything, but it will give a reading of 1 on any object, but it cannot detect a plastic PET bottle or an empty Coke container, empty mineral water container, empty soft drinks, or any soft drinks. But as long as it's plastic container and it's clear or transparent PET bottles, the way how to use this in real application is to place this sensor here and another ultrasonic sensor here. Okay, because as you can see, even if there's nothing in here, it can still read 0. So the problem is, even if you place PET bottle here, okay, it's also 0. So we cannot determine if there is really an object here. Okay, or there is no difference if there's no object or there is a PET bottle in here. So the trick is to place another ultrasonic sensor in here. Ultrasonic sensor can sense if there is an object in front of it, but ultrasonic sensor turns out that it can sense anything even if it's PET bottle. So if the reading on the photoelectric is 0, but the reading on the ultrasonic sense that there is something in front of it, therefore that is a PET bottle. If we place something like tin can, okay, if the reading on the photoelectric is 1 and the ultrasonic senses there is something in front of it, therefore it is not a PET bottle because the reading here is 1. So that's how we use it in our application on how to decide, how the Arduinos decide that the object in front of it is a PET bottle.